Hello, and a warm welcome to our special Love Athletics show, entirely dedicated to a special event, the reunion in Barcelona, 30 years after their epic 1992 10,000 meters final of two exceptional ladies, Derartu and Elana Meyer. That race, the significance of that race went way beyond sport. And we were delighted to have them back here 30 years later. And we're also delighted to have as our guest South African photographer Roger Sedres, without whom this project would not have been possible. Hello, Roger. Lovely to see you.
Thank you for joining us. Oh, it's so good to see you and so good to be on your show. Thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure.
Now, I think it was around June last year that I spoke to you, because one of my ideas when I started Love Athletics was to have a show with both Elana and Derartu as guests. And then you told me that you wanted to actually bring them physically to Barcelona. So that was such a great idea. Tell us about that plan.
Oh, Anna, thank you. Yeah, that idea started in, at the World Junior Championships at the Montjuic Stadium in 2012. One of the first South African to win a medal there was a chap in the discus called Gerard de Beer. And I got to photograph him with the South African flag. And it dawned on me that the one person who started this whole journey post South Africa being readmitted with open arms into the fraternity of sport worldwide was Elana Meyer. She never ever had the opportunity, because of the transition that we were in back in '92, to run with the South African flag around the Olympic Stadium, and that is a great honor. She did it with the NOCSA flag, the National Olympic Committee of South Africa's flag. And I think that's what she donated to the museum now in Barcelona. But she never had the opportunity to run with the flag. And that, it brought tears to my eyes. And I thought, this was the one lady that should be recognized. And she's never had that opportunity. And 10 years later, which, let's say 9 years later, that idea, and I thought, I need to say, I need to get her to Barcelona somehow. I don't know, but it's an idea. And I mentioned it, and she said, "Are you serious? Do you think you can get it right?" I said, "I don't know, but we can only ask." Most people will say, no, it's not worth it. It's not worth a sponsorship. No, it's not worth anything, because it's 30 years ago. But Elana is really, really plowing back into youth, into the young females. And trying, because female athletics, really it lacks like a little bit of depth in this country. And but we have good athletes. So Elana's giving back. But that's where it's all started, was like looking at Gerard de Beer and thinking, look at this magnificent stadium. And this little diminutive girl that lived in Stellenbosch never had that opportunity to run with a new South African flag. Because she's the only one, she's the only medalist in a whole Olympic program that never had that opportunity. And let's do it. And she got to do it yesterday, which I'm really proud of her.
And you should be. So I was not in Barcelona in 1992, but honestly, every time I watch those images, I get goosebumps. It was something so special. So let's put it into context, because that's also interesting. So the women's 10,000 was only introduced at the Olympic Games in 1988. I mean, it's crazy to think that until 84, the longest distance that women would run at the Games was 1,500. Unreal. No African women had ever won medals in long distance events. Ethiopia had boycotted the 1984 and 1988 Games, and South Africa had been banned for 32 years, and they were only readmitted into the Olympic fold 3 months before Barcelona.
Yeah.
So both athletes from South Africa and Ethiopia had missed out on the previous 2 Olympic Games. Now, Elana, for example, had achieved the qualifying standards, but she wasn't able to run in Seoul or in Los Angeles. And here they were in Barcelona 1992, Elana aged 25, Derartu aged 20. And they were not the favorites, but they were going to run a memorable race. Elana had led a large part of the race from around 6 kilometers, upping the tempo, and only Derartu went with her. Then at the bell, Derartu moved ahead decisively, and she took that first medal for Africa. But the part which became so iconic was not the 25 laps of the race, it was after, with Elana going to give Derartu a big hug. And although she was beaten into second place, she was obviously just so joyful, and the chemistry between the two athletes was so palpable. They didn't speak the same language. Derartu at the time spoke no English at all, but they communicated so well. And this is what really made it special, which made it a true symbol of the values of sport, of how sport has this capacity to unify, of spontaneous joy, of sharing a beautiful moment. It was absolutely amazing. Tell us a little bit about what you remember. You must have been very, very young about this race.
I was 23, Anna, and we watched it on television, and we were really vested in athletics. I think our whole family was, as well as I was a member of Belleville Athletic Club, and we became a good friend of ours. A good house friend was Bobang Piri. And Bobang Piri, we used to train with Bobang Piri at Belleville on grass. And Bobang was the 400-meter champion, and he went to Barcelona. So obviously we all went to, glued to the television to see Bobang run. Elana, there was a few that came after them. But I think there was a young girl from Pretoria, Sedres, called Marcel Winkler. So we were all glued to see our stars who had no idea what the stage was like, how big an Olympic Games is. And here they had to run with the world's best and try and produce. So it was a mean feat for Elana to even medal. It became, I single-handedly, in my opinion, started nation building, getting South Africa glued together. It wasn't just a race of 10,000 meters between two ladies, but at the same time, women have, it's a gift that they have, is to, no matter how they fight on the track and trying to get, but afterwards there's always a hug and a kiss and and they enjoy each other's company, and that's, we can all learn from that. But it started nation building, gluing South Africa together. Bishop Tutu talks about the rainbow nation of God, but she started it. Not she started it. And because 92 was a watershed year for South African sport going forward.
No, definitely. We must give Elana the merit that she deserves, because those images are really what started everything. Unity in South Africa, unity in Africa, unity all over through sport, just showing what sport can do, how it really creates, builds bridges. It's just fantastic.
Anna, to talk about how she had to train, and how big Stellenbosch is, and the little state, compared to Olympic stadiums, it's actually quite small. But to go and train and run against domestic competition, and then all of a sudden you got to run against the world's best inside an Olympic stadium in a final. I mean, that is daunting. So she's got big heart.
Yes, definitely. So now on her side, Ethiopian journalist Hannah Gebrselassie cannot give us her direct memories of the competition in 1992 because she was about 1 year old at the time. But she has, of course, heard all about it because people in Ethiopia talk about it all the time. So we have a little video of Hannah telling us about the race.
Hello. I don't remember the 1992 Barcelona Olympics because I was a infant. I was a year and a half or something during the Olympic Games, but I remember people talking about the Olympic Games, Ethiopian success, and all the renowned athletes calling their names and their achievements. Derartu would possibly come up the front lines following Ababa Bikila, Mruz Iftar, Mamo Welde, and then no one will forget Derartu's achievement because she was the first Black African athlete to win a gold medal on the 10,000 meter on the Olympic Games. So the 10,000 meters achievement of Derartu was a huge one. It was an exceptional race with a message to the world showing that women are capable of doing anything if the opportunity is given to them. Also, it was the stepping stone, or it has set a milestone for the winners following her path. So the Olympics achievement, particularly the 10,000 meters victory of Derartu, was an exception. Of course, Ethiopia and also South Africa has returned to the Olympic Games after the apartheid issues. Ethiopia abstaining from taking part from the Seoul Olympics, and also South Africa being banned for more than 13 years. So the return has brought a significant role in the participation of the two nations. And imagine adding the gold and silver medals by the two nations at the Olympics was overwhelming. Derartu's victory was very fascinating, and as Derartu has been mentioning it several times, the welcoming home or the reception has clearly manifested the very significance of the Olympic Games victory to an athlete, including Derartu herself, because I have seen the video footage of the 1992 Olympic Games and also the reception videos. You can see how people were so excited, and almost everyone was out in the city, starting from the Addis Ababa International Airport to the National Palace. People were chanting, singing, praising the names of the athletes, mainly Derartu's, and you can say how valuable that victory was, and how it has shown that women, especially African women, could shine at the global stage, and also conveys a message to the world that if an opportunity is given to them, women can do anything. And also African, from a girl from a rural area could achieve one of the biggest achievements to be on the Olympic podium, on the Olympic Games podium. Of course, I can say that the race has purely paved the way to many athletes, not only Ethiopian or African, but also globally. But we can put it in a specific way to the Ethiopian and African athletes, especially to the women athletes. It has purely set the line, and also it has a very significant value in bringing those successful athletes, especially the women athletes who came afterwards. We can mention so many names, including Fatuma Roba, Gate Ewami, Trunash Dibaba, Meseret Defar, Almaz Ayana, Tiki Galana. Time would not be enough to call those successful Olympians who came out from different Ethiopian regions and stand at the podium on all the Olympic Games up to the recent World Championship and Tokyo Olympic Games. We've got so many golden athletes who were so successful, but I'm sure no one will argue on Derartu setting that standard and setting that line in paving the way to the winners who came out afterwards. But not only for Ethiopian athletes, but also all African women. I can say that it's not only about the athletes, but also in empowering women and also creating a very successful woman. We can mention Derartu's victory as a symbol. We can say that as a bar, as a line to mark, so that we can put Derartu as someone whom anyone could look up to, and then set as a role model. So the 1992 Olympic Games victory, the whole gesture we have seen at the end of the race, especially the love, unity, and friendship we have seen between Derartu and Elana Mer, could be a great symbol for what sport means, what a woman could achieve in their career, and also what love and unity could bring to the world, I can say.
And Hannah, who is a well-known broadcast journalist in Ethiopia, was our contact with Derartu for this project. And the double Olympic champion was also thrilled at the idea of seeing her friend again. And on the night they left Addis, Hannah sent pictures of a very happy Derartu and herself at the airport.
Sweet.
Now, when the athletes met again, it was on the Monday night in the hall of the hotel in Barcelona. It was 9 years since they had last seen each other.
Six kids. So I didn't come.
Now, the joy, excitement, and real strong, deep friendship were a beauty to behold as they hugged each other and exchanged gifts. Now, Elana had brought her family along because she wanted them to share this experience. So husband Jacques, son Christopher, and daughter Inai were there to share this unique experience.
To make it a perfect reunion, 26 September was the final day of the Virgen de la Merced holiday, culminating in a 30 minutes show of fireworks and music, the Pirón Mágico, which we were privileged to enjoy from the rooftop terrace of our hotel overlooking the Plaza de España.
And Derartu was taking videos. She has the whole of the Piron Mágico on her mobile. Fantastic.
Wow.
The next day, we went to the Olympic Museum for the press conference, where they showed these beautiful images of the victory lap, the 26th lap, as Elana called it, which was to make the race so unique. And Derartu pointed out how in Ethiopia, every time that the 1992 race is remembered, Elana's name is mentioned right after her own, because this was such a symbol of unity. Elana explained how the embrace after the race and the victory lap together was a spontaneous gesture. She had not won at the time, but for her just being able to participate and to win a medal was already such a great achievement, and it made her so, so happy. And then came the very emotional moment of the return to the Olympic Stadium. Now the color of the track has changed. It used to be red, now it's blue, so they warned them. And as they crossed the gate into the arena, Derartu let out a little cry of excitement and hugged Elana, and they walked in together. The 1992 Games podium had been brought out for the athletes to stand on again. And this time, Elana could have her flag. And the flag with which they're walking down the track now is the Olympic Committee one that Elana had draped over her shoulders in 1992. So that's another hug in the Olympic Stadium with only one of the flags. Derartu didn't have her Ethiopian one, but that was a very, very beautiful moment. Now, you know that I practically never take photos with the athletes, but this event was special, so I did take a couple.
Beautiful, Anna.
Now, Elana had brought the flag with her, not just for the photo shoot, but because she wanted to donate it to the Barcelona Olympic Museum. As Elana said, she felt it would be much more appropriate for the flag to be in the museum in Barcelona, where it could continue to inspire rather than sitting in a drawer at home. So both athletes signed the flag, and Elana wrote on it, "The symbol of the power of the value of Olympics, friendship, peace, perseverance." So after a long day of interviews and photo shoots, Derartu and Elana were still basking in the joy of being back together again in Barcelona with the souvenirs from the 1992 Olympic Games. Here they are with the director of the museum, Francesc Terron, with a t-shirt celebrating the 30-year anniversary, and with Kobe, the mascot of the 1992 Games, the original mascots that had been prepared at the time. And there was a final session of filming with Movistar, the network that is preparing a documentary on this reunion. And can you recognize the beautiful dress that Elana is wearing?
Wow. No, Anna, don't.
Now, yesterday, Wednesday, we were at the Instituto Nacional de Educación Física, the Sports Studies University, for a session with the students and some of their professors, made possible by our friend and colleague, Spanish broadcaster and coach, José Luis López, who is also a professor at the institution. And while none of the students, of course, were born at the time, they gave Derartu and Elana a rock star welcome. So as you see, the hall was packed, and afterwards, after having attended the session, asked questions, they received souvenirs from the two directors of the museum. And then the students came up to chat, ask a question, ask for a couple autographs. Among the people who were in the stadium in 1992 was Carlos Martin, who was commentating the race for Spanish television.
Recuerdo perfectamente la carrera de 10.000 metros en los Juegos Olímpicos del 92. Tuve la fortuna de estar sentado ahí comentando la carrera y desde el punto de vista de la estadística y de los resultados era una carrera que no produjo ningún impacto porque no fue de las más brillantes en ese sentido, pero sí que fue una carrera que dejó uno de los recuerdos más impagables de los Juegos Olímpicos, sobre todo por el abrazo final que simbolizaba la unión de las dos Áfricas, la blanca y la negra, un país que volvía al seno de los Juegos Olímpicos después de los años de apartheid y otro que crecía poderosamente hasta llevar a Derartu a ser la primera medallista de oro de una mujer negra de África. Y ese fue el valor de una carrera de 10.000 que con el tiempo ha ganado en valor y sobre todo en simbologismo. Por tanto, hoy celebramos la vuelta de estas dos mujeres a este estadio y no hace sino enternecernos a todos.
As Carlos says, in terms of statistics and results, it was not the most impressive race in Barcelona, but that victory lap, the iconic images that it spread out into the world, those were really, truly special, a real symbol of sport.
Indeed.
Now, Rafa Segui was the photo chief in the Barcelona Olympics, and he also remembers the race well.
Pues he de contar que fue uno de los momentos más emocionantes, porque era la primera vez que dos africanas ganaban una prueba que hasta entonces había sido dominada por las alemanas del este, y todos los fotógrafos estábamos muy pendientes de ello. Yo mirando que no hubiera ningún problema en la pista, debido a que yo estaba de organizador, pero sí, lo viví directamente.
Now, as the great Nelson Mandela says, sport does indeed have the power to change the world. And I could also, just realize it in the last few days when I was contacting people to see if they were interested in receiving material from all over the world. Everybody, journalists all over the planet on different continents, they were all saying, oh yes, please send us. It's such a beautiful story, and it truly is. That was, these two amazing ladies. They were really able to inspire people, not only in Africa, not only in running. They were able to inspire people all over the world in all walks of life. Let's hear what the two ladies in question have to say about coming back here to Barcelona. Let's start with Derartu.
So how can I explain for you, Anna? I'm very, very happy from my heart to be here with my lovely Elena, my friend, my sister. So thank you for bringing me. So I like it, everything. I'm happy.
Thank you, Derartu. And I love how really the joy of being back here with her friend, her sister, as she says, Elana, is so obvious. And let's hear from Elana.
This has been, I think, the most amazing 3 days in Barcelona, to be back, 30 years after our first Olympics for South Africa in '92. It really was emotional, then to meet up with Derartu 30 years later has been really special. I think, salute her for not only have an unbelievable athletics career, but, beyond that went on to influence and today is still impacting as the president of Ethiopia. So what an unbelievable privilege to be back. And especially this time around with my family, to also connect them, to a life-changing event in my life. Yeah, and just overwhelmed by just, I think, the emotions of being back here.
It was absolutely amazing, and of course, after we all had to have a final shot all together at the door of the hotel this morning. Now, Roger, would you like to
Yes,
make
Anna.
a final comment on the 92 race, on the 2022 reunion?
Anna, it's been a privilege to, I played a small part, you did, and all of you, everybody who did, got them together. It's a wonderful, wonderful idea, wonderful gesture from your part. For Elana, if I take away two things from 92, one was the lighting of the flame, was shot with a bow and arrow. That was phenomenal. And the 10,000 meter final in the women's race, I don't think anybody remembers anything else. That is what it meant, to South Africa. That's what it meant going forward. And that's what it means to me, personally. It's a long journey, but there's the story behind the journey is amazing. So thank you to everybody, who tuned in and listened, and it's been amazing. It's been an amazing journey and I wish Elana everything of the best. And Zola, but don't forget Zola, but is also, the two of them have partnered now in Stellenbosch, and they are going to produce phenomenal female athletes that the world's still going to hear about. So, giving back, she's still giving back. So thank you to you and everybody on the show for listening, and it's been a privilege.
Thank you so much, Roger. Now, really bringing back Derartu and Elana to Barcelona was one of the most beautiful, beautiful projects that I ever worked on, and I hope we were able to share some of the magic with you. And now I'd like to extend some heartfelt thanks to people who were instrumental in turning this dream into reality. And of course, first and foremost, the two protagonists, Derartu and Elana, who responded so positively and whose deep connection was evident throughout their stay here in Barcelona. These two ladies continue to inspire in their current career to embody the values of sport. Derartu as the president of the Ethiopian Athletics Federation, Elana through her endurance academy, Eurocad, which aims to utilize sport and its values for development. So our huge thanks to Derartu and Elana, to Roger for having this brilliant idea, to Jose Luis Lopez, who was so important in the organization here in Barcelona, especially at the Sports University, to Hannah Gebreselassie for all the coordination and assistance from Addis, Carlos Martin, who was in particular working with the Fundación Barcelona Olímpica and with the Olympic Museum, coordinating with Director Francesca Terronna, to the INFC, its directors, professors, and the students who enthusiastically supported the project, and to our photographer friends, Rafa Segui and Jose Antonio Migueles. A huge, huge, huge thank you to all of you. And thank you, Roger, for the brilliant idea and being with us on the show.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you for having me.
Thank you all for watching. And next week, next Friday, we'll return to our regular Love Athletics show, and we'll be talking about Berlin and London marathons. So reviewing together the highlights, comments, and analysis of what's been happening in our sport over the past fortnight. But this is a special Derartu and Elana show. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Anna.